Well, good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. I'd like to call the Pine County Board of Commissioners, January 7th, 2025, organizational and regular meeting to order. Present in the meeting room are Commissioners Moore, Nelson, and Ludwig. Present via electronic means are Commissioners Allen and Waldham. Commissioners present via electronic means can be seen and heard by those in the meeting room. Please stand if you are able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America,
to the
and
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Little lag there.
All right. The first order of business is the election of a board chair for 2025. Are there any nominations for chair?
I'll nominate Josh Moore for chair.
Commissioner Moore has been nominated. Are there any other nominations for chair? Are there any other nominations for chair? And third and final time, are there any other nominations for chair? As there is only one nomination for chair, when Debbie calls your name, please indicate yay or nay for the election of Commissioner Josh Moore as chair. Debbie, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Holland,
Yay.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Commissioner Moore.
All right, with that, we will entertain nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations?
I'll nominate Matt Ludwig.
All right, we have Ludwig for vice chair. Is there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Commissioner Nelson.
Okay, we have Nelson also on the ballot. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? And are there any other nominations? Okay, with that, we will do roll call and you'll just say who you're voting for. So, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead, Deb.
Commissioner Holland,
Ludwig.
Chair Moore,
Ludwig.
Commissioner Nelson,
Ludwig.
Commissioner Waldham,
Nelson.
Commissioner Ludwig.
I'll vote Ludwig.
Thank you.
All right, so we have Ludwig as vice chair. Thanks, Matt, and congratulations. With that, we'll move on to public forum. Is there anybody in the public that wants to go? We'll start in person, so come on. Name and where you live, or just township or whatever.
Denise Weiss, Graston. You guys know why I've been here. Been to church, been praying about this, wondering what exactly to say. My first request is, I don't know exactly how to go about it, but I am asking that with the cannabis passing of the latest bill, that there is, whether it's Soil and Water can take pictures of Mr. Zappa's location of what he wants to purchase for light mitigation. Because there's a nice little caveat in the draft that he doesn't have to follow that, but us as residents will have to deal with this. I would like pictures taken while it's short evening so that you can see the nice quiet dark that we have now where we can see the skies, because once licenses go out and this fires up, we will now have to deal with the light pollution that this will be giving off. So my first request is that. My second is I'm still frustrated and disgusted about the zoning, that was all removed out of the draft. I would hope that the 7 districts, 4 townships and the other areas that you guys do represent for zoning, that you have zoning in there. That is a respect thing that I believe all citizens of the town, of the county should have. As far as the draft goes itself and being frustrated with the 250 feet versus 500 feet. Businesses in cannabis require by law 500 feet, but the citizens don't get the same courtesy. Ludwig, you did ask for that, but then nobody seconded. And that's frustrating on that side of it. And maybe Wilhelm did, but somehow didn't get voted on. That's frustrating. I was disgusted about the fact that when your discussions after public forum, that it was, marijuana was designated down to petunias. That was disgusting. It's federally illegal. And as far as the odor and the nuisance, 3 marijuana plants equal 1 hog if we really want to get into the farming aspect of it. We're talking 10,000 plants, 3,000 hogs can go 250 feet next door to your home because we didn't put any zoning in there. And I know some people are salty that some of the townships broke away from Pine County handling their zoning. This was the opportunity to say, hey, come back to the fold. We can protect you. You can have really good rules on this. Other counties have done this. And we didn't do that. We said, we'll throw you a life preserver, but we're going to throw it 100 feet away from where you're drowning in high squalls. If you can swim to it, great. You'll be protected somewhat. If you can't, oh well. Licenses haven't gone out yet. We have the opportunity to still look at this. And I wish and hope that you do. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room that wants a public? You're not, anybody online?
There's nobody online.
Nobody online? Okay. All right, we will move on to the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections?
Dave Menke, County Administrator, we have a couple of additions. If we could add regular agenda item 2.1, East Central Regional Library Board of Trustees appointment, and consider appointing Carol Vanderhoek as the citizen representative. And then regular agenda item number 7, labor relations update. And at the board's discretion, you can do a closed meeting for that discussion if you would like. And then not on your printout, but on the appointment, the committee appointment sheet, we missed Arrowhead Transit. And so Steve, I believe, has been serving on that, but if we could add that to the list for appointment considerations.
Okay. With them.
I will move as amended, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Second.
All right. We have Ludwig and Nelson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Deb, you want to call the roll?
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move on to the committee boards and appointments. So I don't know if everybody's got your stuff in front of you. I guess the big thing is I know Commissioner Lovegren had quite a few committees on there. So I don't particularly think it's fair just to hammer all them on to Commissioner Nelson. So I'd like to kind of go through a few of these and make a few decisions. So on some of these, I think like the AMC committee, then we'll just, that'll just, unless somebody wants to change. I think let's just start at the top here and work our way down. So as far as the AMC committees, Roger, if you're all right with it, we'll just go to health, you'll go on Health and Human Services. As we go down, the next one I have on here would be line number 11, which is One Watershed, One Plan, Snake River. That one I was previous on quite a few years when it was the Snake River Water Management Board. Now it's One Watershed, One Plan. Lovegren was on it. I will take that one back over, as long as anybody doesn't have a problem with that. I was wondering, Holland, if you wanted to stay I was alternate. I think you were back when I was on there.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll make that note. The next one I have down there is 14, line 14, Central Minnesota Jobs and Training. I was kind of thinking, JJ, you interested in that one? I know you wanted to pick up some other committees, so I know this is one. Most of them are Zoom, so you can just call into them. And I've been on one of them. There is like 3 different meetings, and I think all you gotta go to is the executive one. I didn't, and it was like 3 hours worth of stuff, but the executive one isn't that bad, so.
Yeah, it's usually an hour. I was on that board for quite some time, Mr. Chair, and it's actually the Joint Powers Board is it's about, they keep it to an hour because they have meetings lined up all day long, so it goes pretty good.
Okay, that would go along with the environmental and natural resources then, Mr. Chair? One would stay the same?
Yeah, yep. The only ones that I'm proposing changing here are the ones we're talking about. Otherwise, everything else will stay the same. So this would be an ad for yours stuff, so. But I'm trying to kind of divvy up Terry's old ones because she was on so many, and I don't know, unless Roger, you wanna take them all, but so these are.
No.
Okay. Don't worry, you're gonna have plenty. So, but that's how I was just kind of thinking, I don't know, I was kind of thinking between me and you, JJ, and Roger, we'd kind of divvy up some of these, cause mine and yours were a little lower than the other guy. So,
Yeah, that sounds logical. Yeah, you put me down then for number 14.
okay, thank you, and I'll stay as alternate if you need, so. And I think Dave's got
Right.
some materials. Terry left some materials to kind of get you up to speed on some of that stuff too. So it's
All right,
pretty,
thank you.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before we get too far off of page 1, on line number 6, Commissioner Lovegren was the alternate on the AMC Indian Affairs Advisory Council.
Okay.
Do you want to make an alternate appointment to that?
Do we?
David, was that appointment though a statewide appointment?
No, this is the AMC committee. Terry served on some
Oh, yep,
other
yep,
groups that were statewide appointments that were for her specifically.
yep.
This is for the AMC.
The Indian Affair one, yep.
Steve, do you?
Well,
do
I
you
would
think-
say, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the major presence of the tribe is in Commissioner Nelson's district, so I would say, would Commissioner Nelson be willing to step up and take that one? It's in his district.
It typically meets only in conjunction with like the AMC annual conference and such.
Usually it's a day ahead of time.
Yeah,
My question was to Commissioner Hallen. He was going to, because he's been on that committee, so how often are you meeting?
I've been invested in that one for quite some time, and I think it needs a gentle voice from East Central Minnesota, and whether it's you or me, Roger, I don't mind. But I do think we've got to make sure we're represented, and quite often, because it involved some issue with our band, Commissioner Lovegren and I were both in attendance at the request of AMC.
I'd be willing to.
Okay.
As an alternate?
As an alternate, yes.
As
Yeah.
alternate.
As the alternate.
And as an alternate, if you want to attend, you don't have to go just in, but it is nice not to have to if you don't. Then I just put a placeholder as Arrowhead Transit, just so it's on the list, under 14. So Holland, you'll be on there.
Yeah, and I think I got on there because I'm on the county transportation committee, and it kind of came out of transportation because it's governed by MnDOT, basically, and it's run by the AA out of the Northeast District. And so because I'm on the transportation, I'm also on the Northeast Regional, the statewide District 1, and the Towards Zero Death and Arrowhead, I think, are like subdivisions of the Transportation Committee.
All right, so then moving down, the next one I have is number 18, East Central Regional Library. I was just gonna, or was thinking, Nelson, you wanna take that one?
Which number are you on?
On 18. I could remain alternate on there too.
Sure.
They are once a month, they're usually in Cambridge.
I was on the library board
Okay.
previously, way back. so,
Okay. Yeah, and I was on previous to Terry as well, so. So if there's anything in between you guys wanna talk about, otherwise I'll move down to, looks like 23. Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails. We got Holland, and then Terry was alternate. I don't know if you wanted to take that one, or you're not interested.
Not really.
Not really? Okay. Is that something, JJ, you'd be interested in being alternate?
No,
No?
I'll take it.
Okay. Ludwig. Okay, then the next one down, Highway 23 Coalition. Waldham's on that one. Lovegren was. Roger, you interested in that? Are them, what kind of meetings are them? Them are usually remote, right, JJ?
Except for the
yeah,
annual meeting.
I prefer. Yeah,
So.
thanks for that, Steve.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what Steve said.
They always have an annual meeting, and that is held, it was held in Mora once. It's been, all the way to Pipestone, probably, I don't know. Wilmer, St. Cloud.
But otherwise, most of the time they're remote, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'll put you down there. Okay, moving down. Is there anything on this page anybody else wants to chat about? Otherwise, we will go on to NLX. It looks like, so I have, do we have two people on that? Just one usually,
Typically one and an alternate.
and an alternate? I was kind of thinking, Ludwig, do you want to move to the regular one? No? Okay,
You don't want to, I will.
Why don't you?
Huh?
Like you'd be the lead on that
You
one.
want to be the alternate or lead?
I'll be the alternate.
Yeah, okay, I'll take the main.
okay, for a year, and then Roger will take the main.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Matt, if you're reluctant to do it, I'd certainly step up as the representative for NLX.
What's that?
He said, JJ said he would take the,
NLX?
yeah,
Great.
okay,
I was
Perfect.
on it for a long time.
And Mr. Chair,
yes.
just to remind everyone, we are no longer a dues paying member. And so we typically don't, our representative typically does not vote unless they need a quorum, in which case then seems to be Pine County is very important.
So
Awesome.
who is,
Interesting.
so who is the alternate then? Is it
Roger will
Roger?
be the alternate.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, JJ.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mr. Chair.
And I think them are them usually remote too? I don't know. I've never been to one. Moving down, we got Shaq. And that one, I don't know, is anybody interested in Shaq? State Community Health Services Advisory Committee. And them are typically in-person, remote?
I don't know. I think they're relatively infrequent, meaning
Oh, that'd be
several times a year versus like every month. And that typically fits well with the AMC Health and Human Services Committee. There's a lot of overlap sometimes between those.
So I just read between the lines here.
I'm trying to be helpful and transparent.
I'll be willing to take that.
Okay. Perfect. We got Nelson there. Okay, so with that, is there anybody, do you have any? Want to talk about all the appointments up to the county board established ones? So that'd be 1 through 37. Otherwise, we'll move on to them. And I'll go down to the county established committees. It looks like line 42, which whoever thought of putting the numbers on these, great idea. So I don't know if it was David or Deb, but thank you. Cause this really helps. So health insurance committee, I. just
I'm
kinda-
willing to stay on that.
Yeah, I just kind of penciled Roger in there.
I'll just say, when it comes to the established standing committees, the only two that I really feel strongly about would be the land
Okay.
committee and the transportation committee, you know, and again, I'm new, but you know, those are two areas that, you know, are close to me, so.
Okay. Well, on that
You
one,
guys-
And Mr. Chair, I have those same sentiments exactly.
okay. Sounds good. Well, let's take this one first. Health insurance, I'm gonna pencil in Nelson there. And then, we'll go to land,
Who's joining me on HHS? You?
on which one?
On health insurance? You are? Okay.
Yep. Roger is. So then we'll move to next page, 43, land committee. So it looks like, Lovegren was on there. And JJ and Roger have expressed some interest. Matt's on there. Let's do this. These ones the chair appointed or not? Okay. How about if I just take that one? Then I don't have to have you guys arm wrestle. How about that? So I'll go on that one and then, we'll go to the Mille Lacs Band.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yeah, to direct this towards Commissioner Ludwig. Commissioner Ludwig, would you be willing to give up your seat to either Roger or I on the Land Advisory Committee?
I think Commissioner Ludwig's been there. How long you been there? Long time.
Yeah, I'm fine,
Yeah.
but I'm open to listen to anything he wants to tell me.
Okay.
If Nelson wants to carry something forward, I'm fine with that.
Okay. I think we'll keep it this way. And then, the Mille Lacs Band. I actually was thinking of picking that one up unless someone's got a argument with that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yeah, again, what I was thinking with it being in Commissioner Nelson's district, I'd recommend him if he'd be willing to take it, or else I'm expressing interest in it.
okay. I think, you weren't interested, were you? Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Nelson isn't interested and,
I'm interested, but
yeah, no, I
There
didn't
are-
mean it that way, sorry. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, sorry. I wasn't trying to make you look bad. I think I'm gonna try it for a year and see. And, I'll give you some good information next year. How about that? And see, maybe. I don't know. I've never been on it, so I wanna try it. And then, we'll move down to chemical health. That Ludwig's on there, Lovegren was, JJ or Roger, either one of you guys interested in that?
No, I'm not interested.
Okay. Roger, I'm gonna pencil you in there then. And then scrolling down to Public Health Advisory Committee. Terry was on that. JJ or Roger. I guess, are you interested in that one?
And Mr. Chair, that's a primarily local citizen group that Sam Lowe gets together periodically with a commissioner representative as well.
How about since Roger took the last one, JJ, we'll give this one to you.
Okay.
And then I think that covers it.
Are you gonna do anything different on transportation?
No, I was gonna leave them. Unless, I don't, Steve or JJ, are you guys, do you want to stay on there or Roger was expressed?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd like to.
Sounds good. And we'll leave them for now. Perfect. All right. So with that, is there anybody got any other questions about this stuff?
Did we, Mr. Chair, did we miss, did I miss it then in a previous meeting if you abolished it, the fiber optic joint powers board? Where does that fit in?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, so we anticipate that with the city of Pine City contracting directly with Midco and no longer having an IRU on the fiber network, that group will be able to call a meeting in 2025 and dissolve itself. And so I think Commissioner Holland is on that group, and so I would anticipate that would be the activity this year is they would determine that they don't have a purpose anymore and they could dissolve.
Okay, I thought that was one that Lovegren was on, but I could be wrong.
If it's the, and I don't,
She was on an
oh,
NACO one.
yeah, she was on the NACO Technology and Telecommunications.
Yeah, that might be the one you're thinking of.
And this is the local
Okay.
fiber optic joint powers board between Pine County, Pine Technical and Community College and the city of Pine City. And it's the group that was responsible for the fiber network in Pine City many, many years ago. And so
Number 3.
so I would imagine that group will meet sometime in 2025 and be able to consider dissolution.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's served its purpose, and my recommendation was that we figure out how to dissolve. We have probably met 3 times in what, the last 5 years, David?
It sounds pretty accurate.
Okay, so with that, I do need a motion for the non-chair appointed one. So it'd be the first section. There. Does someone want to make a motion? This is a committee assignments now. So, okay. Matt made a motion.
I'll
A
second.
second.
Okay, I did hear Holland first. I don't know if it's you're farther away, JJ. Sorry. So I got Holland second. Matt, is there any other discussion on them committee assignments? And this is for the first part. The second ones are just chair appointed. Hearing no discussion, Deb, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham.
Yep.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll look at the county board schedule for this year. It's in your packet there. So the projected dates are the first and third Tuesdays of every month. First one will be in Pine City, the second one, or the second meeting will be in and then in there we have the board of equalization on June 16th. The truth and taxation is December 4th. And then the facilities committees will be first Wednesday, Health and Human Services as needed, personnel Monday prior to the third Tuesday of the month, and technology fourth Tuesday of odd numbered months. So with that, we need a motion, right?
Yes, and
Okay.
if I could just make a comment, Mr. Chair, on those committee meetings, that once those committees are established, they can determine a schedule, and it may or may not follow this depending on the committee members.
Sounds good. Yeah, because we got some new people in there and we kind of tailor it to what works for everybody. So,
So we just include last year's schedules.
yeah. So if you're on one of them and you're like, hey, that Monday don't work or that whatever, we'll figure it out. So. Okay, so, I'll entertain a motion for the schedule.
So moved.
Got Nelson made a motion. Got a second?
I'll second it.
All in a second. Is there any other discussion about the schedule? Otherwise, Deb, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes,
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so now we'll move on to almost, regular board meeting stuff. So approve the minutes of the December 17th, 2024 regular county board meeting and summary for publication.
Ludwig will move.
We have Ludwig. Got a second?
Holland will second.
All in second. Any other discussion? Okay, if you can call the roll.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes,
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so the minutes, boards, committees and correspondence, Pine County Land Surveyor monthly report and Pine County Zoning Board minutes. I have a motion for that.
I'll move that.
Okay, we got Holland, motion. They were second. I'll second the committee. Is there any discussion on them? Okay, go ahead and call the roll.
Who did you want to
Who's the second?
second it?
I did.
You did?
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Holland,
Yes,
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so the consent agenda, got the consent agenda in front of you. Is, someone want to make a motion on that?
I'll move that.
Matt made, the motion. Is someone want to second the consent agenda?
Second.
Okay. Nelson second. Is there any discussion on this, the consent agenda? I would like to just say if, I think Roger expressed you were going to the new commissioner training and it is really good. So if you can make it, try to get there. That's on the consent agenda. So if, I'd be curious to see what you learn and what's different from last time. So. All right. Is there any other discussion on consent agenda? Otherwise, Deb, you can call the roll.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland.
yes,
Thank you.
All right, so consider the bid for official publication 2025 through 27.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we annually get a newspaper bid and the county board designates an official newspaper. In working with the Pine City Pioneer and the North Pine County News, they typically submit a joint bid, which they did again. The law changed a few years ago where you can make that designation for up to 3 years. And so if you wanted to do that for the years 25, 26, and 27, you can do that, or you can do just a single year, your discretion.
So they made it, did they make a 3-year bid?
Yeah.
They did, okay. And that's the only newspaper we have, right?
It's the only bid we got.
Yeah.
aren't all the newspapers owned by the same company now?
Yes, yeah, it's the
Yeah.
North Media. And so
Yeah.
they publish all of our stuff in both newspapers, the Pine City Pioneer and the North Pine County News.
So
Question. So how does that rate compare with what it was in the past?
It is the same going forward as it was in 2024. And so it would be locked in for 3 years then if you accept the 3-year proposal.
I was just thinking, I don't see the harm. I didn't see the harm in going a 1-year bid, but then it has been the same. I think I remember that for a while. I could see if we didn't, then all of a sudden it maybe jumps up type of deal. I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like anything's going down. I hate to say that, but,
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your guys' feeling?
yeah, I mean, we have virtually no competition anymore in the county. They're all owned by the same holding company.
Yeah.
And by law, we have to have it published in a newspaper, so.
Go ahead.
What, considering the trend, what would happen? Because I'm sure there are counties that have no newspapers. So in that case, if we have a contract, do they have to honor that?
As far as,
I want to say yes, and I neglected at the beginning of the meeting to note that County Attorney Reese Frederickson, because it's kind of a legal question maybe, has a jury trial today, and so he's not able to come. They would have to honor it. I'm just thinking in terms of if they like went out of business,
Correct.
right? They would not then be held liable. If they sold, I presume that the contract would follow to the new buyer.
So are we doing a 3-year?
And
We're
if you-
discussing.
and then
But yeah, that's the only part that's weird. What if somebody opens up a new business then?
you on the
Like a competitor comes in?
they have to, the statute requires they have to be in circulation for a period of time.
Okay.
As well, I don't know that it's 3 years, but, on the rate piece, there is statutory protection that they cannot charge you more than the lowest, commercial rate. And so if they lower their commercial rate, they would have to honor that as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we do have a little protection.
Thank you. That helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, the newspaper has presented the 3-year option and it just has never been presented to the board before. And I figured that I should, in good faith, just carry it through. There's not a big difference either way.
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion or do you want to have some more discussion on it or?
I'll make a motion for 3-year option.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Nelson seconded. Holland made the motion. Any other discussion? All right, go ahead, Deb, and call the roll.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes,
Chair Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so now moving on to extension committee appointments. Looks like we got Mary Lang, being reappointed, Ruth Carlson reappointed, and then Carol Vanderhork.
And that,
she,
Mary and Ruth are the extension committee. Carol is the library board.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I had that wrong. Can we do them all as one, or?
It might be easier to do them
Okay,
as two separate. If
so-
you're okay with that.
We'll just do two first, extension committee appointments. So Mary and Ruth have been on that, for quite a while.
Ruth is just 1 term so far.
Oh, 1 term, okay,
I'll make
So-
a motion.
okay. Roger made a motion,
I'll second.
Matt second. All right, can I have, any other discussion on them too? Otherwise, go ahead, Deb.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
yes,
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, then this is one of the additions is 2.1, and that is to appoint Carol, Vanderhork to the East Central Regional Library Board.
I'll move that.
Okay. And, do we have a second? I'll second it. And, this was vacated, by,
Was it Judy Shalene?
Judy Shalene had been the person for several years, and she's retired. Or, you know, she's been retired from a regular job, but she wanted to retire from the library board.
and I
So-
think she termed out, wasn't it? Or,
It's possible.
Yeah.
I think they get 3 terms.
yeah, 3 years or something like
Yeah.
that. I think so. So, yeah,
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
So are these by district or at large?
the,
We
Go
get 2, Roger, from Pine County. We've kind of tried to keep them, you know, geographically. One from probably, you know, north of Highway 48 and one south, but there's nothing, I don't think, that says they have to be that way.
and I do believe the other one is, she's from Sandstone.
So, so essentially they're both at large.
Yeah.
Yes.
The extension committee, we kind of do a per district one, because there is one from every district and one at large. So that one was kind of there. That's how that one's go. So when one of them comes up, you'll get a email or phone call saying you got anybody. Okay, so we had a motion and a second in discussion. Deb, can you call the roll? This is on the East Central Regional Library Board.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to potential committee of the whole meeting topics and strategic planning.
Board, I just put this on the first meeting to get feedback and discussion on topics that you might want. To be sure we had committee of the whole meeting scheduled for during the year. Or if there were particular locations that you want us to have a meeting during the year. And nothing decided to preclude you from changing or adding things in the future. It's just helpful if you have ideas that we can start working on them.
What do you guys feel about starting to move around a little bit again? We used to do that prior to COVID, but
I like the idea. I wouldn't mind going back to doing that. I like being in Nickerson and Denham and
yeah.
the State Park and wherever, Rock Creek.
Cool. I think yeah. And then if you guys look at the agenda request here, there are a couple placeholders there. One of them restorative justice grant. The other one's health and human services, community-based services. And then the highway road tour, which we have been doing. And then the classification and compensation review. And I thought of one other thing.
I thought of one thing, and that's, you know, solid waste rose to the top of the entire state at the AMC conference as one of the highest things that the state county commissioners thought we needed to work on legislative priorities wise. It didn't rise to that notch in East Central Minnesota in District 1. And it hasn't been on our radar except for the fact that I keep reporting back from our solid waste joint venture that we have in Kanabec County. But I think it's a topic we need to dig into a little more. I'm not saying we're not on the right path, and I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying I think we need to keep our eyes wide open on what we're going to do. What are we leaving our grandkids, except big piles of trash?
Yep. Well, and I just asked David if it was possible to even meet at the landfill, and he's maybe
Sure.
into that, but I don't know if we can have a county board meeting out, but we'll maybe look into that. So, but otherwise, what I would kind of think of, maybe I'll just task everybody to think of a spot in your district that you'd like to hold a a committee of the whole meeting and then we'll try to arrange that. Does that sound good?
Yep, absolutely. And I would just make the note that using remote technology in various places that aren't set up for remote technology generally is not successful.
No.
And so I remember the days when we had the iPad sitting in the room when Commissioner Holland was out of state, right? And that is not, I mean, I guess if you're gonna expect a remote option, be thoughtful of where you want to have that meeting, because I don't think it works well just to meet at the state park where there isn't good service and then think that people can reliably join remotely.
I'm just thinking we have one meeting in Puerto Rico and maybe the other one in Florida. How about that?
There you go.
And see you guys.
So I don't mean those comments as a negative, right? I would be excited to be able to be out and meet in places. I just know that we would struggle with having remote participation in many places in Pine County. So
I would suggest ASCO at least because I think we work there. We've worked there before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chair, my question would be, and again, I'm new to this, is remote access required?
no,
No, and I think that was gonna be my question, Roger, is that, I think we just clearly state if we're going to the Nickerson Town Hall, and I don't know if they have the capability or not, but I'm assuming maybe not, that we just say this is an in-person meeting only.
We
Yeah.
could, yeah.
and when we used to do that, I know we would invite the local jurisdiction. So if we met in
Township.
Nickerson or we met at the Osprey Wilds or wherever, we would invite the township supervisors or city council members from that area to come and just have a kind of an open dialogue, which is a totally different format than a formal board meeting. And I'm just, letting you know that if you want to do that, we should, as Steve said, not expect to have the remote, and we'll just plan for that. So if you know you're going to be out of town on that date, we either need to find a new date or you would miss the meeting.
Another good spot would be like Nemadji or up in that, Nemadji Resources or Nickerson or up in that country that we don't often as we should.
Yeah. Okay. So no decision on this. We're just gonna kind of keep this as a work. Does that give you enough direction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And if folks want to, filter back to you, additional ideas and have more discussion in 2 weeks or whatever, we can do that. It's a work in progress. I just know that if we wait till July, it's really late,
Yep.
and then it will conflict with budget.
Okay.
I would like a committee of the whole idea staying on our agenda every time, just as a placeholder, so if it's always in their mind
Yep. Yep.
at the bottom or something.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, we will move on to, let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Ownership of the Sioux Line Railroad Corridor.
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, the Pine County established a regional railroad authority in 1990. The Regional Rail Authority owns the railway corridor along the Highway 23, generally from Baroon west. The county itself owns the old Sioux Line Rail Corridor. And we've been struggling with that over the years because there's two entities that own Rail Corridor. And so it would be our recommendation that the Sioux Line be quitclaimed to the Railroad Authority, and then the ordinance that was adopted to regulate that use by the Railroad Authority would clearly apply. And so if you looked ahead in your agenda, you see there's some permits that assumes that there's a transfer. If you decide that that's not the way you want to go, then we should talk about those transfers outside the Rail Authority meeting.
I'm very comfortable. I'll move that.
Okay.
I'll have a question at discussion.
All right. So Matt's got he made the motion for that. Does anybody want to second it?
I'll second. I do need just a little bit more clarification though, David.
Go ahead.
Well, so the two entities that regulate any rail stuff are who and who?
The Pine County Board of Commissioners
Yeah,
ownership, or the county has ownership of the Sioux Line corridor. And the Pine County Regional Rail Authority has ownership of the Highway 23 corridor.
And what we're proposing here is to put it all under the rail.
yeah, and I seem to, in my mind, I thought, I don't know, how somehow they got merged. You know, that the land got transferred from the railroad to the county, and I guess I assumed, which I should never do, that the rail authority then had control of issuing permits and such.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the original deed from the railroad, it goes to the county rather than the Regional Rail Authority. And so
Yes,
those are two separate entities under the law, the county and the rail authority.
Well, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did some brief research about this. I guess I haven't heard any conversation about this in the past 4 years. But in Washington County, they actually use the terms of co-ownership. To be something to look. So I guess the reason the language actually used in this agenda is to be simpler if they were owned by the same county entity. But after this brief research here, would a co-ownership just be the same and just let it be as it is?
You kind of cut out there a little bit, but I think what I was hearing was you're just wondering if co-ownership would be the same as, and I think essentially that's what it is now, is co-ownership or not.
Right. Well, yeah, going after what I researched, seen like with Washington County, if they're permitting it, ownership.
Yeah.
The rail authority is the whole county
So-
board.
Yeah, I guess I can't speak toward the Washington County model because I was not aware of it, but we can research that. My only thought would be if we reflect back on like the Snake River Watershed Management Board, and you had the advisory committee and then the board, and they each had to approve everything, I think you would end up with having to have the county board and the rail authority approve things if you were truly co-owners. But if there's a desire, I would suggest that just postpone this item until the county attorney can review it and make us some sort of opinion on it.
Well,
But Mr. Chair,
yeah,
the rail authority and the Pine County Board are the same people.
yeah.
We're the same. I mean, I think in some cases, they may be an entity created by the county, but they're not the same.
Yeah.
And in our case, the rail authority is the county board.
Yeah.
We just have for some reason, we have to have a separate one.
Yeah. That's how I was gonna say.
Well, Mr. Chair, I guess the reason I bring this up is anytime anybody would want me to quit claim deed giving up ownership, I would just, I naturally want to buy an attorney and have it looked at. There's another thing out there. If you're going off of Exhibit A, grantor certifies to the best of his knowledge, the two wells, attached are the only ones located. That's marked on the new quit claim deed, but this is dated back February 10th of 1992. I guess did our land department or did anybody at the county research even to see if there's more wells added in the last 32 years? So is this even accurate?
I do believe what we're talking about now is whether or not we're gonna bring over the Sioux Line to the rail authority. So that, I think,
Yep.
a little bit further on.
Timing.
So, and I'd like to just keep the discussion on that. So I think we do have a motion, we do have
what this is.
on whether or not we're gonna, and here nor there, if we leave it the way it is currently, this would go to the county board for this approval. Essentially, what we're trying to do is just streamline it, make it just under one thing, which would be the rail authority, which is kind of what the rail authority does, is works in the rail way or whatever. So, if with that, is there any other discussion just on whether or not we're gonna transfer ownership to the rail authority from the county?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to say, all this really is in my mind is we're cleaning up a messy piece of paperwork.
Yep.
Once, so it's just, whoever's the county board is gonna be this, it's the same group, so it's just putting it all under one, in one spot.
That way the department, Kelly's group doesn't have to say, well, does this gotta go to the county board or does it go to the rail authority? It's all just gonna go to the rail authority. So,
So I'm looking at a quick claim deed. We're gonna transfer the deed to this property without any attorney looking at it with no legal counsel. That's what I understand what's
Mr.
gonna
Chair,
happen here.
Commissioner Waldham, the county attorney looked at this and he thought that it made sense.
did you hear that? County attorney has reviewed this. So,
And the
Okay, what I did hear, I thought that it hasn't run by the county attorney.
County Attorney Frederickson looked at the proposal and the deed, and he thought it made sense. And the conundrum that you have is if you look at the rail authority, number 5B, right? So those crossing permits are issued under the authority of that ordinance 2018-55, which the rail authority adopted. But the rail authority doesn't have control or ownership of the land that the permits are issued for. Right? And so it is the rail authority and the county board membership they're the exact same 5 people. It's just either the county board would need to adopt a use ordinance similar to that 2018-55, so that it would then give itself the authority to issue the permits or transfer the land to the rail authority. And I think historically, it's just been muddled because the ownership has never been this overtly stated.
perfect. Okay, did you have a question?
Well, I think you've answered my question,
Okay.
because I was gonna ask, what is the impetus for this? If it's been ongoing for a long time, well, it appears to be, it's the 5B.
Yeah.
Is what's brought this to light. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Got it.
I think we just said we figured out that we should change this. Okay, any other discussion on that? Otherwise, I'm gonna call for a vote. Hearing none, go ahead, Deb.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham.
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we are gonna recess the regular board meeting and convene the rail authority. Do I have to say something or we just do that? Okay. So under that, under A, appointments of the chair, vice chair, secretary and treasurer. So I think we just put my name in as chair,
If
Matt's name.
you wanted to make that as a motion,
Okay,
then you can just vote on it.
I'll move it to keep it the way the county board structure is. The whole county board is on the authority. So, and then, so if you want to look at that and just put names in them, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Nelson seconded. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none. Deb, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
yes.
Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to B, Sioux Line Crossing permits, and it looks like Kelly is
Sure.
taking this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Dave kind of already alluded to this, but in 2018, the Rail Authority approved ordinance 2018-55, which there's a section of it that requires a special permit for roadway or farm crossings. And so Land Commissioner Beck has reviewed all of those now, and has listed, you have a provided list of 14 of them that have been identified. And so within the ordinance, it says that You have the authority to issue those long-term type permit, crossing permits. And so that is the request today, to issue to those 14 properties, those crossing permits. And Greg is proposing that they're a 20-year special permit,
Oh, what's the duration?
20 years.
20 years?
Okay, so with that, we're working on just A, right? Or B,
Right.
line crossing permits. Okay. So, if that makes sense.
One more
entertain-
question, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair.
go.
So if there's a sale, does it transfer?
I think we can add that language if we'd like to
Well, I
the
don't know if we-
permit.
I don't know. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying what happens. Does the permit goes to an individual
Right. So,
landowner?
right, or we could tie it to that actual crossing rather than the individual,
Okay.
What do we do on the other ones? Is that?
like zoning permits.
No, the one on Brook Park.
We don't have an ordinance on Brook Park,
Oh.
and so we've had people come forward for easements across the Brook
Yeah,
Park.
that's, okay,
Um,
I see.
I think if someone's going to sell a piece of property, they can say there's 20 years left on the permit if we had, or whatever, if they live there there's 15 years left on this permit, you're gonna have to look at it. It might, I don't know if it matters to us, but it might matter to the property owner.
And it would matter
Yeah,
that
Mr. Chair.
the permit should be clear.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, JJ.
Yeah, my question is similar to Matt's. Yeah, why 20 years? Who picked 20 years, I guess? Seems like
It's,
a long time for a permit.
sure, and it just seemed like these folks, their properties have already been using these for many years. And so kind of looking at the lifetime of what people typically own property for, and just getting these actually established to move forward. But if you have a different term, we can definitely look at that.
And here's a question for me. It is public property right now anyways. So
Correct.
if someone wanted to go down it, they can go down it. If someone wants to cross it, they can cross it. This is kind of tied more towards the property, is to say, hey, this cuts through your property. The other side is you do have a permit to cross it and do stuff like that. So
Correct.
it is, I think it is a landowner, more type of deal. So,
Yeah, because the one piece, the land was purchased with, what looks to me like they purchased it was landlocked, and then they had to obtain a north easement out to County 159, which then tied, which made that binding to the easement they're asking for now. They had to do that first. I guess I was just wondering, the term of 20 years. And with what Matt said, how is it transferred? How is it tied then just to the person or to the land? Or that could be visited at a later date.
do you have, with that, do you want to make because we haven't even made a motion or nothing, and I think this is good discussion about that.
I would.
Well, but I'm thinking, do you have are you thinking something different? Or are you just thinking out loud or?
I'm thinking out loud.
Well,
Well, I was asking JJ.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. No, just with everything else, what else do we have 20-year permits? We don't, right? Anything in the county? Nothing?
That I'm not aware. Do you know?
right,
It's-
like zoning permits are 1 year and then they can get extended with request.
But I get the land ownerships. I get what, I don't know, but I just say if, it wouldn't matter if we say whoever purchases, whatever the duration is left on the permit goes to the new landowner. Or who's left, done.
Right.
And we have no real reason to deny a permit on this, right? If someone,
Right, I guess if there was some significant abuse or something of that sort.
and essentially if you denied a permit, they could still cross it.
And
Anyways.
Mr. Chair, so authorized uses without a permit are non-motorized.
Oh, okay.
And so I think if you were wanting to drive materials or supplies, et cetera, to a property you owned, you could do that if you had a special permit. You could not legally do that if you didn't have a special permit. And the ordinance just distinguishes short-term, which is 1 year or less, and long-term.
So now to muddy it up even more, on the Brook Park side, we do easements. Would we be just better off doing easements with these, or is this not an easement thing?
So it's interesting because you're getting kind of to the next one as
Okay.
well is, these property owners, they don't care.
Yep.
They don't even know that they need a permit to do what they're doing. Where when you get to the second one, he knows he needs a permit and he would like something more permanent, so he's requested it.
An easement.
Right,
Okay.
and there is a fee for that.
So with this, we're kind of trying to help the property owner in case of something came up and whatever.
Correct.
So with the easement one, that is something permanent or,
Right.
yeah, so, okay, well then that makes more sense to me. I don't know about you guys, but,
Yeah.
is that to you, JJ? So these are property owners that aren't really, they don't even really know that there's a requirement to this.
Right.
And we're just trying to make sure that
Mhm.
they can still access their property and function and use their property the way they need to. Then the easement side of it is people that know they need a permit to cross it and they're getting a permanent easement, so.
Right.
Okay.
That truly want it there in perpetuity.
Yeah, what's the cost of the permit?
We were not proposing a fee for the permit.
Yeah.
Yeah. and the
It's like, if they're gonna cross, Washington County stipulations, if they're gonna build a sort of a road or crossing, there is, then they have to build to county standard. Looks like County Engineer LeBrun's in the crowd today. Just to make sure that everything is done correctly. If building a road, if you notice, it is 33 feet wide. But the case to me that they're gonna build a road across it.
I think this is.
Just like if you're gonna build a driveway connecting to a county road, I believe there's some safeguards in place to protect the county.
In the case of that,
Proper wording,
want to get an easement, correct?
yeah.
Or not?
I'm not necessarily following.
Yeah,
He's
and-
wondering is
Well,
the permit, is there restrictions like, or minimums that they have to do to cross this?
Right, and these are all pre-existing our ordinance crossings, where if someone came wanting a new one, then we could definitely look at how it needs to be built and what we want it to look like.
Mark is behind you.
I- I think most of, Mr. Chair,
Go
weren't,
ahead.
weren't most of these permits came kind of with the railroad?
Yeah.
People had a farm field or something and they had a permit from the railroad to get across to cut hay or whatever. And they were kind of just came along with when we acquired, the county acquired the Sioux Line in the 90s. It was way before my time, but that's what I seem to recall. And so it's just an extension of what past practice has said. And if we were going to do it in a new way, like the people that are requesting an easement, then that's the way we would go. And we'll probably eventually end up there with all of them.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was just
Yep.
gonna say,
Like,
easement would make sense if you want to go with the property. It's permanent. If someone wants to get a mortgage, they've got access to the property. There might be situations, I think, where you gotta physically go down the trail to get, and that's probably not a permanent type easement situation, so it probably kind of depends on the situation, but I think easement would be the best route to go for just, hey, we gotta just cross the trail from a road. And in that case, if it's a county road, as JJ said, we have a culvert application, all that, so we make sure that the access is appropriate and all that. So I think in the one in Brook Park, it's on Trunk Highway. They've got control over that, but I think if you're just going across to a property, I think a permanent easement, then nobody has to worry about it anymore. There's no confusion. If you buy property and you see a driveway there, you have no idea that it's not permanent, so it's kind of unfair to give that indication to the public. So those are just a couple options to think about.
And I think with this is maybe the permit, maybe we'll, some of that. but that is up to the landowner, right? I mean, we can't just grant easement without their requesting it, I guess essentially.
Right, so typically those easements are purchased like you'll see with the next item, and
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
you know, this, I think maybe this could spur it, like you
Yeah.
said, Josh.
Yeah.
Of people saying, wait a minute, I want that in.
Yeah.
Yeah. and I'm
Permit
just-
doesn't allow them to do any road work.
And I'm just saying the easement, we're, as the public entity, we're looking out for the public.
Yep.
And so the easement, we can say, you have to have an easement to go through that process versus I want a free permit. What are you gonna ask for? You know,
Yep.
cause you don't, maybe you're 70 years old and you don't care about 5 years from now or 10 years, so I think you or land department, the easement idea is something that they should be analyzing and saying, we would recommend it for this case, that type of scenario. So.
So here's maybe one thing I'm thinking is, do we maybe look at it just a shorter term? So,
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
maybe along those lines.
Mr. Chair, 20 years, I don't know, it just seems like a long
you
time.
hold on, JJ.
A lot can change.
Administrator Minky was talking first, and I'll get to you.
I think along the lines you were going,
Thank
the
you.
land commissioner under the authority under the ordinance has the authority to issue permits for up to 1 year. And so if there were an urgency to enshrine something, could the land commissioner do temporary permits or short-term permits for up to a year? And then the county board would have that year, the land committee perhaps would have that year to review and discuss in more detail as to what the long-term solution is.
Go ahead, Commissioner Waldem.
Yeah, just 20 years seems quite much.
Are you proposing a 5-year?
Well, did you guys hear what
Yeah,
your
that
Minky?
makes sense. We could do a 1 year and give us a 1 year to figure out what the best move is.
And then have some discussion on this.
There, that sounds good, Colin.
I'll make that motion.
And Mr. Chair, so under the ordinance, the land commissioner does have authority to issue temporary or short-term permits up to 1 year. And so you would not need to take any formal action if you're comfortable with that, if that makes sense, Kelly, to you.
So with this, we never did make, well, Steve, you just did make a motion, but that's fine, no second. So if we do nothing, it'll just revert back to the land commissioner, we'll just issue permits. Maybe we'll spur some of that talking to look at easements just to do it the right way. Then there's nothing out there, so. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I did have a question, a couple questions. Mr. Chair, what is the present use of that or condition of that sewer line at this point? That's maybe my first question.
Yeah, I'll take that if that's all right. So the use is a pretty significant ATV use, that you see during the year because that sewer line connects all the way over past Isle. And it goes all the way to Wisconsin. And so there's a significant ATV use, and the condition actually is very good. We have a partnership with the North Pine Riders who get state grants for maintenance and such. And so it is maintained by a private entity that we have a partnership with. And it seems to be going well, working that way.
Okay, great. My second question would be in regards to the map that I see. You know, when I look at a lot of these parcels, some of them are very small, some of them, there may be, up to a 40 that they're crossing. Would this permit as proposed be defined to a certain spot in the trail, or is it that you have access across the whole?
This is for the specific accesses that already exist. So it's
Those would
Correct.
be defined.
defined, right?
Must be these dots.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're legally defined.
Right. Well, they're not surveyed, because that would be a significant cost to go actually survey those out.
Right.
But, we can do GPS coordinates or something of that sort. So it's not that they get to be crossing 1320 wide.
Yeah, that was my question,
Right.
maybe my concern.
Okay. Perfect. Okay,
So, Mr. Chair, I understand it's not the 20 years, it's just gonna be annually, yearly at the discretion of, back to the land commission. Then we can research this and talk
Yep.
about it later.
I think we're gonna
Gotcha.
revisit it and try to push people into, or not push, I guess that's a wrong word, but to try to get people to do easements, so. Because then that's just a cleaner way to go. So. Okay, so then we're gonna move on to C.
Yes, and so this is an easement request. So the Sandstroms purchased some property that is south of the Sioux Line Trail. And so when they purchased it, that was the available access was the Sioux Line Trail. And now they have worked to actually gain access out to County Road 159 through the private properties that adjoin the trail and go north to County Road 159. And so the Sandstroms would like an easement across the Sioux Line, which would be the completion of their easement to ensure that, or to their easement out to the road, to ensure that they have future access. And there is no question when they go to sell if they have access or not, to truly define it. It is a bit of expense on the Sandstroms part in that they did have to have a survey done to legally define that easement that they're requesting. And then we did look at an appraised value on it of $500.
Okay. Does someone wanna make a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Nelson made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ludwig second. Is there any other discussion on this?
Yeah, I'd have discussion.
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Now would this follow, and this probably be since Mark's still there, being since it's 33 feet, I mean, that would tell me, when you make crossings like this then, or if they turn just this common walking easement into a road, they would, what do we have in place to make sure that they, build it like they would, Mark, connecting to, any other, government road, county road? I mean, would this fall then under, culvert permits and, attaching to one of your county roads, or how would we make sure this is done right and safe?
Yeah, it would be the same as anybody gets a driveway permit. There's a standard, we don't want them too wide, so there's a standard width we have on those. 33 feet is a good amount of easement to do that, so.
Okay, so this should be able to be built correctly, and then I would imagine the DNR can get involved with some signage or something indicating for people using that trail. Could possibly be a car or truck now crossing ahead of them. That would be in the DNR's.
But yeah, I mean, that would be one of the concerns is you're gonna
Right.
be crossing and we're permitting them to do that or easement, allowing them to do that, so that's,
Oh.
like a public road essentially, however those are marked, I would say.
It would probably be the same like on the Munger Trail when somebody buys land and wants to go from 61 over to private property. Same kind of thing, I would assume there.
Yeah, the DNR controls that though, so,
Okay. Oh, different. All right.
but yeah, anytime you're going near that trail, I mean, you get a little nervous.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's my only
All
comment,
right.
question. Thank you.
So we got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this? Otherwise, Deb, go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Yes.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes,
Chair Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other regional rail authority business? Hearing none, we will adjourn the rail meeting and reconvene the county board meeting. With that, we'll go on to commissioner updates. Arrowhead counties?
No.
No. Pine County Zoning Board?
No.
Snake River Watershed Management Plan Partnership. We didn't have a person on it till today. Meeting with Representative Dotseth. I was there. It was a good meeting. We discussed a lot of stuff. The unfortunate part is he's one person. I mean, do they have a majority right now, or it's kind of in between, or it's a split. I think the Republicans have a majority. His conversation was they're trying not to like really overreach. They have a little bit of majority until this other election gets done. And then probably be a split again. So cause we were like, well, are you guys gonna try to take over and do a bunch of stuff? But he's like, we're trying to work with them right now because it'll probably be a split when they're done. And, they don't wanna like create any bad blood, which I thought was good, we'll see if that really works with the leadership or not. But we got a lot of stuff out. We talked to them a lot, about issues. Yeah, Dave just handed me, so legislative priorities, the House committee structures and assignments, he talked about that. We really talked about, Becky was there, talked about the SSIS stuff. And some of these laws that the legislature put out to us in the last couple of years, and they're just not attainable. I mean, the system just doesn't work, and you guys know that we've been at the forefront of this SSIS stuff, had people here from the from the state to see how it doesn't work. So we just talked to them about the state budget, casino sales tax, AMC priorities, and the paid family medical leave split, that ESST. And that was another thing that's come up in our contract negotiations, because this was one of them deals that the legislature, I think, thought they made it clear, and it was clear as not clear as mud. So we've been trying to negotiate that in our contracts. So and we haven't negotiated in contracts. So we were there a couple hours. Did you want to add something?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Before you move on, when's
Yeah.
the second meeting?
This Friday.
This Friday?
Are you on that one, Matt?
I think I'm on that one. Didn't you put me on that one?
And this one's with Representative Nelson.
What time is that?
10 a.m.
Is that on our calendar? already?
Yeah, I just seen it.
Yes.
Oh, okay, then I'll find it.
Okay, with that, mediation, I think we're gonna cover, we did have mediation on last Thursday.
You want to go in a closed session and? have
Yeah,
it?
we're gonna, I'll just give a brief overview of it. We started meeting at 8:30. I had to go to a hockey game, so I left at 4:30, 4? And, I was almost done with the hockey game by the time these guys got done. So I think they got out at 7:30 or something, so.
11-hour day.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the details of that in a closed session, but just to give a little overview. Otherwise, is there any others?
I have a
Yeah.
possible other. At the AMC meeting in December, was talking with a few other counties, and there is another organization called Northern Counties. You may be familiar with them. And there was some interest, at least they said, had you considered joining with us? I suppose it's a counterpart to Arrowhead, but maybe with a different angle. Have you considered that at all in the past? Or
I think we did, Roger. We were in rural counties for a while. And I know I think the guys from Cooch were the guys that talked to me about northern counties. And I don't know their agenda at the time, if I remember right, was a lot about mining and con lands. And maybe that's shifted now. I'm not sure.
I guess what I'm asking, could I bring some more information at our next?
Certainly.
So we can maybe.
Absolutely.
Certainly. And maybe we also need to relook at rural counties, because at the time we dropped out of rural counties, they seem to be very focused on county hospitals, which we don't own a county hospital or nursing home. So that was their big focus at the time.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because even my whole career in the sheriff's office, Pine County is stuck between, we're in no man's land. Even like when the FBI service, sometimes they come from Duluth, and it just, we're not connected so much. And it'd be nice if we could find a spot. I mean, we are connected. That works pretty well. And that's a northern tier. So,
I'd like to correct you, we're in the middle of everywhere. We're not in the middle of nowhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it makes things difficult because there's a whole different thing happening in the metro. And like Steve said, when you go north, it's like, it's Pilt is number one, the federal Pilt, there's state Pilt, they own so much of it. And then the mine.
Yeah, I think it
So-
would be good that if Roger, if you can get some more information, bring it back, and I don't, if you want it on an agenda item, we can put it there. Once you get some information, we can have, or we can cover it in other and move ahead, so. either way.
It might be a good topic, for a committee of the whole meeting to look at, some of these other organizations and our membership in them.
All right, perfect. So with that, we are gonna close the meeting, to talk about labor negotiations, about our, mediation we had. So should we have to close it first, or do we recess?
You,
Just read that.
yeah, if you would want to make the motion to close it,
Okay.
and then just note that you'll reconvene in like 5 minutes so that
Okay.
people can get a quick break and we can get set up.
Okay. So I'll move to close the meeting as provided by Minnesota statute 13D.03 to consider strategy for labor negotiations, including negotiation strategies and development, discussion, and review of labor negotiation proposals pursuant to Minnesota State Statute 179A.01 to 179A.25. Can I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Matt seconded. Any other discussion about that? Deb, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go into closed session in 5 minutes, so if.
And then, just let me double check here. I think Jackie sent did she send out a link?
Steve and JJ, you should have a link from Jackie to join another meeting.
All right,
Just for general purposes, it's not anticipated that any decisions are required by the county board today.
And we'll reconvene after this.
We're gonna go to
The commissioner conference room.
Sounds good.
can just put it back in, or do we have to have a motion? Wait for them, guys. Can you hear us, Steve? We're just waiting for JJ. All right, can you hear us, JJ? You got us?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we're back. We'll go back into regular session here and we are on upcoming meetings, so just take a peek at that. I know Deb or David, they'll get it in your calendar, all the stuff. So once they get all the committee assignments figured out, so just kind of look at that. It'll be in the calendar. And if you have anything to add, make sure you reach out to them and they'll get it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would ask that commissioners check their calendars because everything might not appear.
Yep.
And so if you see something that's not in the commissioner calendar, let us know. That is not the foolproof way of making sure you know when your committees are.
Yep. And give it a little time. If you don't see nothing in there right now, it takes them a little while to get them.
Give me a couple of days.
That's what I figured. So otherwise, anybody got anything else?
No,
Otherwise, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys.
Debbie Gray,
Yes.
can you let the extension folks know that I will join them on Zoom? On Thursday, we have a meeting and I can't find the email.
I'll
from
have
them.
Joanna send you the link.
Yeah, all right.
You know, on my calendar.
It's not gonna be there.
It's not there yet.
I mean, with the meeting for Friday.
I thought I seen it earlier.
And Ryan, are you still there?
You're looking at the wrong one, Matt. You gotta go to Outlook.
Huh?
You gotta go to Outlook.
I'm down there. That one?
It's on there, Matt.